With Manny Cash this Tuesday morning in from Narek. And we have a very special in-studio guest today in the person of Edd Aragon. Morning, Ed.
Morning, Manny.
Wow.
Thanks for inviting us here.
What a voice.
All right.
Yeah. Awesome voice.
Thanks, Manny.
But he ain't a broadcaster. He is actually a painter.
Thanks, Manny.
Yes, he is.
So
Right, Ed? Right. And he came all the way from Australia, didn't you?
That's right.
That's right. Yes. Tell me, how did it all start before we actually let them know about your homecoming exhibit or exhibition, if that's what you call it? When did you start? Pardon my ignorance, but when did you start painting?
Well, I started painting when I was 6.
When you were 6?
Yes.
Yeah. As all good artists are, you know, like when you're a musician, most of them anyway, start playing when they were that age, your age. I mean, that back then, like 6 years old, 5 years old, you know. I wonder why. It could be they call it inborn. Is that how you do it, or you acquire the skill?
I was just probably influenced by older artists and painters. And seriously, I started my first watercolor painting in Tanay, Rizal, and I did some waterfalls painting of. It's a really rustic place at the time when I was only 6 years old. But I started serious painting in my early 20s.
Here in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, yes.
What made you go to or migrate to Australia? Or did you?
Well, yes. My late wife invited me to immigrate to Australia because during the time...
Was she Australian or a Filipina?
She is Filipina,
okay.
Yes, and of course in '79 we were still under a regime of non-democratic processes, and I did illustrations and comic strip cartoons for Philippine Bulletin Today and Philippines Daily and Evening Express, doing some editorial cartoons and comic strips under Neil Cruz.
Yeah.
Hey, if you know the man,
I know.
He's the man. Yes. And then I immigrated to Australia in 1979 and landed a cartoonist job
in Australia.
That's right. In the Australian newspaper, which is owned, of course, by Mr. Rupert Murdoch, who is now an international citizen. He's a fair dinkum Aussie.
You did it on a regular basis, like a daily cartoon thing on page 6 or page 10 or something like that?
Not really. During my initial gig with this newspaper, of course I'm a newbie to their eyes, but I just did my best to do some illustrations and cartoons for the magazines, and there's a lot of publications under the umbrella of News Limited, and the major banner is the Australian newspaper, and it's circulated nationally. And I was fortunate enough to enter the pages of this major newspaper there. And after 10 years, the Sydney Morning Herald invited me, enclosing apostrophes, to join them, and the rest is history. And during my spare time, I did painting, and I'm a passionate painter, even though no one's watching. I'll be still passionate.
Exactly what type of cartoons do you paint?
I actually don't paint cartoons, but I'm dead serious in doing illustrations and cartoons. And when it comes to serious painting, I'm dead serious about painting. I'm using acrylic oil, pastel watercolors, and chocolate paintings, but they won't be considered paintings because they're sketches. But I have arrived in a certain point of time in my life, at this age where I'm growing white whiskers already, that I should do more serious paintings. And I have this unusual, weird, and strange medium called ultraviolet reactive pigments, which if I use or if I apply on canvas would be totally invisible in normal daylight. Unless, if you really want to see the images, I have to switch on an ultraviolet light, which is commonly, which is familiar to us Filipinos since the 60s because of disco light and black light.
Isn't that fantastic?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Brings back memories.
How serious are your serious paintings, by the way?
Well, they're serious enough to be exhibited at the Yuchengco Museum. It's now, it's ongoing now.
All right, you tell them all about your forthcoming, you call it a homecoming exhibition.
It is there, Manny, it is. And it opened last night, and there was Jim Paredes of Apaha Hiking Society. And
Who was there?
And my parang Heber Bartolome of
Banyuhay.
Yes, there you go. And thanks for their support. But
Heber is also a painter, isn't he?
He is a very good painter, and he has his own style.
There's this television personality who also paints, Joey De Leon.
Joey De Leon,
Was he there? You should invite him.
I did, but he came to see me and he interviewed me in his Mel and Joey program. Apparently, it's a very popular program.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
It is cool. Thank you.
Right. Yes, it started yesterday, you were saying.
Yes.
Or
the 19th, yes.
The 19th, that's a Saturday.
Yes.
And it's going to go on until when, Ed?
Until the 20th of April. So we have a 3-month window of display.
You have all the time in the world to catch Ed's exhibition at the Yuchengco Museum.
Yes.
It is actually located.
It's located, well, they've changed the name to Ayala and Hillpurut Avenues.
Yes.
The RCBC Plaza in Makati City.
They can call a certain number for reservations, right?
For sure. It's all on display.
889-1234. The number is 889-1234.
Yes.
And you have an advice for those who will come and watch your exhibition, considering that it's seen and it's better appreciated with the interplay of the ultraviolet light.
Yes.
Right.
It's much better for our guests to come in dark attire, so to speak, because white dresses. I don't mind if they come in black shirts or bikinis, as long as they're dark.
As long as they're dark,
and won't reflect back the UV light spectrum, because the paintings on display have just an appropriate amount of intensity, and if there will be some mirrors like a shirt that would really glow under ultraviolet light, it would be with a more brighter approach.
Wait a minute. Tell me the technique, the principle behind your kind of painting that you can better appreciate it by means of the ultraviolet light. What are the chemical ingredients in the paint or the watercolor that you use, or whichever, that will actually be a sort of what they call it? It should be seen and it should be appreciated better through ultraviolet light.
Yes, there's a scientific basis, but even without the ultraviolet light, man-made light, some species of scorpions or arachnids and some shrimps under the sea, they glow in the dark, and this is what we call bioluminescence. But it's a similar technique that man was able to synthesize different chemical processes and molecules that they get them together, polarized, fused. And
where do you buy your paint?
They're there for industrial application. And the reason why we cannot see the ultraviolet light spectrum is because they're too short, and the only way they can be seen is by using a sort of pigment that would reveal their sharpness.
Wait a minute, this is getting to be very interesting.
Yes.
We will continue, but before that, let's listen to these, Ed. We'll be right back. You're listening to Coffee Break with Manny Cash from the Voice of the Philippines. Thank you, Baby John. That's the voice of Baby John, by the way. He goes on our sister radio station, RJ100 FM. Oh, yes. This is Manny Cash for Coffee Break, and for Narek this morning at 13 to go before 10 o'clock, we have, let's go back actually to our in-studio guest, who is ongoing, or who is having an exhibition. It's ongoing till the 30th of April. Edd Aragon. Ed?
Yes, thank you very much. And to carry on, this is all about the invisible paintings and
invisible paintings.
Yes.
This is a big contrast to the glow-in-the-dark type thing, though.
It's quite different.
Quite different. Very different.
Very different. Yes.
Anyway,
The thing is, the approach, the theme of this paintings, they're all women. There are nude women on display. And
You mean your exhibition
Yes,
is
sir.
a nude exhibition?
yes, sir. And plus some thermocline.
And you are not even inviting me
Well,
to the exhibition?
I am now. It will run till the 20th of April. A lot of
Yeah.
opportunity there.
Yes, yes.
It's quite.
Jerry Cornejo and David Nye would be more than glad to watch the exhibition.
Yes, please.
Yes. All right. You were saying?
Yes, because March would be Women's Month.
Uh-huh.
Pardon the pun.
Okay.
And they're all women here, and it's more of a textile, the beauty of the Filipino. Without trying to spin it, really, but we haven't got any option except the images of Eve. I believe is the most beautiful
Human being.
images on earth. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's more.
I wouldn't even know whether Eve is Filipino or American or
That's the
Swedish
concept.
or
Yes, many hot-blooded male we are,
Yeah.
and it gives us certain degree of not perversion but passion rather to
the word is passion. I
yes,
think.
and to apply paint and try to simulate a reality without going overboard, and the seriousness is the concept itself, and people would understand that no matter if I would do it in pencil or in watercolor, as long as the image is there, and it gives a certain emotional effect, and
Really awesome.
Yes.
God.
I hope you see it. Right?
I will. I'll watch it.
And just another opening tomorrow, there will be at the Oarhouse pub in Manila, which is signed by Ben Razon. There will be the theme will be 12 cool men.
12 cold men.
Cool.
Cool.
Yeah, these are 12 portraits of people international musicians who have made an impression on the music world, such as Frank Zappa.
Frank Zappa.
Yes, Carlos Santana, Tom Waits, and Mick Jagger, Jim Morrison, John Lennon, and Miles Davis. I'm planning to do Leonard Cohen. But yes, please do. Tomorrow night will be open in Ermita. And this will be the, instead of me being accused of being a male chauvinist pig, displaying only women at the Yuchengco Museum, we have our...
Now, for a change, it's going to be the male.
Yes, I reckon. And that'll be cool.
Yeah,
Please.
really cool. Right.
Invite friends to come around, please.
Yeah, please. You can call 889-1234 if you want some reservations. You want to get the front seats, yeah. and relish the exhibition of Edd Aragon.
Thank you.
More like the exhibit, not the exhibition.
Thank you for your support, Manny.
Yeah. Thank you, Ed. It's a pleasure having you on the show this morning.
Likewise.
And we look forward to a successful exhibit of, you call it the homecoming exhibit, Under a Different Light. Very appropriately named.
Vive la France.
Yes. Vive la France.
Yes.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you very much, Manny.
See you again soon. And, consider me reserved for a front seat, right?
That's done.
Any day of the weekend.
It's a done deal. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
I'm
Ed.
shaking your hand right now. Thank you very
Me
much.
too. I'm shaking yours.
All right. Thanks, Manny.
Thanks for being around today, Ed.
Hi there, mate.
Just about 10.